Something is quietly breaking in America. I don't think you need a headline to tell you that because you can feel it at the gas pump. You feel it when the rent hits. You feel it when you're walking down the street and you're supposed to be feeling safe, but you don't feel safe. You feel it. You feel it in the gap. The gap between what the so-called leaders say is happening and what you can see and know is happening. And that gap has a name. It's called performative governance, and has become the operating system of modern leadership. Now, this is not left versus right. It's not red versus blue. This is structural. Because when governing becomes theater, when press conferences replace policy, when branding replaces accountability, when optics replace outcomes, the people don't just lose trust. No, the people lose ground. They lose economic ground, social ground, civic ground. And nowhere is that gap more visible than right here in Los Angeles. Let's break it down. There used to be one standard for leadership. A simple question. Hey, did things get better? Are crime rates down? Are small businesses surviving? Are schools producing capable graduates? Is housing more accessible? Is the budget stable? Those weren't ideological questions. Those were management questions, the kind a board asks the CEO. But somewhere, somehow, some way, something shifted. Now the questions sound like this. Was the speech emotionally resonant? Did the clip trend? Was the press conference shareable? Did the messaging land? We moved from substance to symbolism. We moved from competence to choreography, from governance to narrative management. And here's the part that should concern us all. The system does not just tolerate this shift, it rewards it. Let's go a little bit deeper. This is not about personalities. This is about incentives. Every elected official is operating inside multiple cycles at once. Election cycles, budget cycles, news cycles, social media cycles, approval cycles. Those cycles don't care about your 5-year infrastructure plan. They care about the last 48 hours. So here's the brutal logic. If solving a problem is slow, technically complex, politically risky, man won't show results before the next election, but performing concern is fast, applause generating and instantly rewarded, what behavior does the system select for? You already know. This isn't a talent shortage. America has capable people. This is an incentive distortion problem. And distorted incentives always produce distorted outcomes. That's not cynicism. That's systems theory. You see, Los Angeles is not just a city. It's a $12 billion annual budget. It's the second largest city in America. It's a full-scale governance laboratory. Look at what we've seen. Homelessness spending across the state and county has exceeded $24 billion over the last decade. The homeless population is increasing. Hasn't just increased, it's increasing. And that's not an opinion. That's an audited outcome. Billions allocated. But the problem has worsened. Drive-through parts of downtown LA at 7 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 10 p.m. Talk to small business owners who quietly relocated. Look at deferred infrastructure. Look at pension liabilities growing faster than revenue. Meanwhile, the messaging is polished. The incentives have logos. The plans have launch events. Narrative dominance can mask dysfunction for years, but it cannot defeat math, because eventually the math catches up, and the math always wins. When governance becomes performance art, three things break. The first thing is accountability. If success is defined as people feel heard, there's no clean metric for failure. Number two, competence. The skills required to win elections are not the same skills required to manage complex systems. Campaign skills are fundraising, messaging, media presence. Governance skills are operational management, data analysis, fiscal discipline, institutional design. If we select for the first, we shouldn't be surprised when the second is missing. Number three, responsibility gets replaced with framing. When something fails, the first question becomes, how do we explain this? Instead of, how do we fix this? Crisis communications replaces crisis management, and the public ends up arguing about narratives instead of demanding measurable correction. Here's the uncomfortable part. Performative leadership, it works because humans respond more to emotion than they do to data. Sadly, a leader who feels right will often perform a leader who is right. Make people feel represented. Make people feel morally aligned. And the criticism of policy starts to feel like a personal attack. That creates insulation from accountability. But feelings don't balance budgets. Feelings do not fix infrastructure. Feelings don't reduce long-term liabilities. You cannot govern a city on quote-unquote vibes, because the bill always arrives. So here's the real question. Are we selecting performers or are we selecting problem solvers? A performer commands a stage. A problem solver commands a system. One survives a news cycle. The other stabilizes a city. One wins applause. The other fixes root causes. When we consistently reward the first while expecting the second, we get exactly what we're seeing right here in Los Angeles, California. The solution is not cynicism. The solution is a more demanding electorate. We got to ask harder questions. What measurable outcomes improved? What structural reforms were implemented? What unintended consequences were corrected? Hope is not a metric. Inspiration is not a metric. But math is. Wolf Kage Los Angeles exists to expose incentives. Because if you understand the incentive, you understand the behavior. And if you understand the behavior, you see the pattern. And once you see the pattern, you stop being surprised. Stop being an audience waiting for better performers. Let's start being stakeholders demanding better systems. The city does not need better messaging. The city needs better outcomes. And outcomes are the downstream of structure. Structure always wins. It just does.